Hey everyone. All right. Here we go. We're live. It's working today. Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks for being here today. Thanks for hanging out for last week. We had a technical difficulty that was not my problem. It wasn't my fault, which is interesting for once. It was a glitch on YouTube's side. I'm just trying to get my window open here, my question window. Boy, it falls behind everything, which is really annoying. It's my preview. So, okay, there it is. Okay, so yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for hanging in for so long yesterday. Last week was really a drag. And this week, I'm just running here to get here. Just no time to practice, no time to warm up, freezing. My mom got a last-minute COVID shot, so I had to take her, and I was driving as fast as I can back home. So here I am. Just made this one today, so great. How's everybody doing? Thank you for being here. All my courses through my website, Jeff-McErlain.com, are on sale for 20% off. You just enter the code LIVE20 and you have all the courses there. I also have all these jam tracks, not these, but I have a whole set of blues jam tracks that you can get through my website as well, Jeff-McErlain.com. And all right, people are asking where is Evil. I don't, like I said, I was running here, running around like a lunatic to get online. Oh, there he is. All right, where shall I put him today? Here's Evil. All right, let's see if he'll just, there we go. All right, there's Evil. Okay. So, all right, let me just chill. Okay, so let's talk about what I was talking about today. That intro there is very good. Oh yeah, thank you for being a good son. Yeah, my mom is, she's the person who needs a shot. So we found out last night through the website, and I had to go out to New Jersey and get her and bring her to the thing and then bring her back home and then zip back here. But, that's a peace of mind you can't buy. You know what I'm saying? So, great stuff. All right, so one of the questions I get asked, or comes across a lot, is this major pentatonic sound. Is it pentatonic? Is it a major scale? Is it a mixolydian scale? Is it minor pentatonic? To get the sound I was just going for, really kind of something you hear the Allman brothers do quite a bit, Dicky, Beth. This vibe is a little bit more like apparently Blue on Black by Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and it's kind of funny. I was thinking more Can't You See, the old Marshall Tucker band tune when I did this track. This track is from my Solo Explorer, and a lot of what I'm talking about today is very much like what we talk about in Solo Explorer. We're going to talk about mixing major and minor pentatonics, but really kind of building off of your pentatonic scale to see how we can make things sound more interesting. Okay, so the chord progression: D major, C with add 9 to G, right? Tons of tunes, right? I mean, a million tunes. Can't You See, Sweet Home Alabama, Blue on Black, kind of like Paradise City. Tons of tunes. Hide Your Love Away by the Beatles, which is in 6, so, right? So this is that kind of sound. So the first thing we want to think about is, well, what sounds good? We have a D major chord. And if we talk a little theory here, guys, because this is really where it comes down to, where the big kind of joke I was saying is, what key is Sweet Home Alabama in? Is it in the key of G, or is it in the key of D? So the main thing is, we look at our 3 major chords. So we have a D chord, a C chord, and a G chord. So that is a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. G, A, B, C is 4, D is 5. Right, so it's a 1, 4, 5 like that. But we're going to kind of go like 5, 4, 1. And so this is where the confusion sometimes comes in. Well, the song's in D, isn't it? Well, yes, it's in D mixolydian. So what that would technically be, I can't get full deep into this, but I'm going to get you into how you can solo over this really quickly. But technically, I just want to cover the theoretical angle. It's 1, flat 7, 4 in the key of D mixolydian. D mixolydian and G major are the same scale. So I like to think of it as, I know my notes as being D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, or a G major scale is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Same notes. Check this out, guys. If I take my D chord, spelled D, F sharp, and A, my C chord, C, E, G, and my G chord, G, B, D, and I wrote them out in a line, alphabetically, I would get D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. I get a D mixolydian scale. So that's the parent of where this is going to be. But I don't really think a lot of these guys were thinking, I'm going to play D mixolydian. And I know I think about more like pentatonic. So let's talk about pentatonic first. All right, so the first scale we could throw in, and I go into detail on this in the Solo Explorer course as well, available on my website. All right, so D major pentatonic. right? D major pentatonic is really a perfect scale to play over this. And I don't know about you guys, but coming from playing rock and roll, more like heavy stuff and more blues and darker stuff, I didn't play a lot of major pentatonic growing up. I played a lot of minor pentatonic, you know, coming from Sabbath and realizing that Jimmy Page played a lot of major pentatonic. I just didn't really know, I didn't understand what was going on. So I would mainly play minor pentatonic over everything. And then when I try to play over something like Blue Sky or Melissa or Jessica or any of those Allman's tunes, I just would sound like crap. Or Sweet Home Alabama. So the first thing I would have jumped to as a kid would be D minor pentatonic. Right, that just by the nature, the name of it, the scale is called D minor pentatonic. And D minor pentatonic has a flatted third, has an F natural in it. Our chord progression has an F sharp in it. So we have this F sharp in the chord, which is the all-powerful. It's the chord that sets up the sound of the chord progression. Meaning, like, if I hit a wrong note, it's the chord that makes it sound like the wrong note, not the scale, right? Because this is the harmony of what I'm building upon. So I want to make sure that the notes address everything that the chords properly. All right, so I have the F sharp, and I add that in. So I can't play the D minor pentatonic straight on, and I would hit a lot of wrong notes. And when people would be talking about this, like, oh, Sweet Home Alabama is in G major or something like that, and they'll play a G major pentatonic scale. Let's hear that, because it's the same kind of thing. It doesn't sound wrong, but it doesn't sound right. You know, so the D minor pentatonic scale would be the thing I'd play as a kid, or maybe a little past being a kid, and then realize, man, this doesn't sound very good. Because I didn't take the time to think, well, the notes don't match up. I have an F sharp in the chord and an F in the scale. All right, so let's talk about D major pentatonic back again. So when you're playing that sound, what's important, a lot of guitar players will think of it as, you know, B minor pentatonic. One of the problems and the dangers of that, and I hear guitar players do this all the time, is that you will resolve to the B a lot because you're thinking B minor pentatonic, which you're resolving to a 6. Like it's going to pull you, or you go, right? You know, you end up pulling to it, and you're like, oh, that's not where I want it to end, because you are targeting a note that's not in the D sound. And these chords go by fairly quickly, so sometimes I don't get too hung up on trying to make all the changes, because to me this is a very pentatonic sound. Okay, so if I'm going to jam for a minute in the pentatonic. So. About the blue note. Right, so Marshall Tucker, Molly Hatchet, you know, all those bands. So that's something you really want to work on. Because if you haven't grown up playing that, you have to shed it, or else it's just not going to sound right. You need to know where those resolutions are. I'm thinking about lots of Ds, F sharps, and As. If I'm on the G chord, I'll play G, B, D. I'll be thinking of those notes. But to start off with, right, just playing D major pentatonic's a cool sound. Now, I'm going to play what I like to call the Dicky Beth scale. It's a major pentatonic scale. But I'm going to add in, to D major, I'm going to add in the fourth of the scale. So you already heard it, right? if I just play the G, which is a G note, it's not a great note on its own, so we get to the G. Works there. F sharp. But in context, so if I do like a Dicky kind of line, so D major pentatonic with the added G. So that's the Allman Brothers sound to me. Like, if, you know, obviously there's much deeper sound than that, but that's a quick way to use your minor pentatonic scale. You're just going to add in the fourth of the scale, which would be the G. It's a really great way to just jump into it, and you can just noodle on that for a while. And that's kind of what they do. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. Of course, they do it amazingly, and they kind of created a whole sound. But that's a quick way to start getting into it. It's just major pentatonic with your added fourth. So that leaves us one note shy of a major scale. We would have 1, 2, 3, right? So the root, the second, the 3, right? There's the 4, 5, 6, and 7. But you can hear that C sharp doesn't really make a lot of sense. The C sharp doesn't work because it's the wrong key. We're playing a C natural chord, and we discussed at the beginning that our scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. So I could add in that C as well. Turn my volume too. Got a wrong note there. Generally speaking, at a huge generalization, same word in one sentence, the Allmans didn't do that as much. They'll leave the flat 7 a little ambiguous here and there. I mean, of course, Jessica, the melody does have the flat 7. But if you want to get that kind of jam bandy thing, sometimes leaving that flat 7 out makes it a little bit more airy, less defined. So the other thing we can do, we can use minor pentatonic if we just know how to use it properly. And the thing we could do is play the D minor scale, but we want to make sure we tweak our flatted third, which would be the F. We want to lean towards F sharp or fret F sharp. So I'm always bending it. It's more the way that Kenny Wayne Shepherd approaches it. Right? You can start to mix the two, right? Minor, major. Now minor and major does play around. That F. Right, it really adds a nice tension. So the mixture of major and minor pentatonic. But what I don't really think about is I am mixing major pentatonic and minor pentatonic, but mentally I don't think about, I hear them as sounds now. I don't think I'm going to mix major and minor pentatonic here. that's one way to get you there, but eventually I just start being able to hear the sounds, that brighter major pentatonic sound, and that little bit of that bluesier minor pentatonic sound. Right? Now maybe like a little Clapton kind of approach to this, if I can. A little bit, some stuff I picked up from like Sleepy Time by him. I get that right. Yeah. But, you know, Badge. For better or for worse. So that's kind of like a bit of a Clapton-esque sort of approach, mixing those major and minor in one position. So when the answer is, when you come across something like Sweet Home Alabama, which is the same chord progression, it is the key of G, note-wise. Here it is D mixolydian, so D major pentatonic is going to be the way to go. G major pentatonic, if we look at the notes, G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, D. Those all work, right? They're all contained in the scale, but you end up thinking G major pentatonic a lot. Now you can do that for a sound. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, when I think G major pentatonic, I just end up cheesing it. So, because there's too many, not many of the same notes. So D major pentatonic, D minor pentatonic, you got to tweak that third a little bit, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. And you could add in that natural fourth on the major pentatonic scale for the Dicky, Beth sort of sound. All right. Any questions? I'm putting away the window while I'm talking, because when I do that, I find when I watch the video back, I'm watching the screen, which is not what I want to do. And this is a fun jam track because you want to, I don't know, you can spend a lot of time jamming on this thing. I feel like it is one of those ones that you can work out a lot of different ideas. And the phrasing is big too. Listen to the Allman Brothers, you know, Blue Sky, like I said, Jessica, all those tunes, where it really gets this sound. Like to get the major-ish sound, Sweet Home Alabama, Can't You See, like the Marshall Tucker Band, I'm trying to think. I think Jason Lockland and I were talking about this. My first concert was 38 Special and Rossington Collins Band. So at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey. So I forget what grade I was in. It's pretty young. So Rossington Collins was the rest of Skinner at that point. And 38 Special, I think, was just hitting big with like Hold On Loosely or something. So at the Freedom Rock, yeah. Okay. All right, so let me say hi to everybody who is here. Richard and Sarah, what's up? Thanks for everybody for coming back this week. Graham Ross, Dan Stamos, JC, Stephen Moore, Graham, I said that already. Essie Nesbitt, everybody. Yeah, all the usuals. Thanks for coming back every week, guys. I appreciate it. Okay. Have any questions? How would B minor pentatonic work? That's a good question. It's the same exact scale. B minor pentatonic is D major pentatonic, right? B minor pentatonic, B, D, E, F sharp, A, B, D, E, F sharp, A, B, D. D major pentatonic, D, E, F sharp, A, B. Same exact scale. Just Stan, when you're resolving, you really have to make sure that you resolve. You're not thinking B minor. If you think B minor, you're going to be getting a lot of those, like, you know, and that kind of leaves you like, oof, that doesn't really sound so good. So B minor pentatonic and D major pentatonic are the same scale. Sorry guys, I'm a little hopped up for, it was traffic. I was on Waze coming back home from Doesn't even get my mom or shot. And the Brooklyn Bridge just suddenly came to a standstill. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm still a little, all right, just got here just in time. Sorry, I'll stop giving that. I'm a little jacked up at the moment. Yes, so B minor is the relative major. B minor is the relative minor to D major. Same scale, look at it that way. Okay. Is there a trick for using the same minor shapes in different places? Well, you know, we call it like the 3-fret trick if you want to look at it that way. You know, honestly, the best way is to just start learning it as its own scale. You know, all right, here's how you could practice. Let me just take that question that you asked. And this is what I recommend. Instead of thinking of it like using minor pentatonic, because then you're just cheating yourself. Because you're always thinking minor when this is major. So I'm going to take my D major pentatonic scales. And let me just say I have to memorize them as minor right now. So B minor, D major, but I'm hearing it as D major. I'm just going to run my scales over the track. Right? Right? So I can just play those scales as 5 positions that you should know. If you don't know, Pentatonic Deep Dive available at Jeff-McErlain.com. Just start running through that and just to hear the sound of the scale and get that under your fingers. Because you start thinking of it as like, I'm playing B minor, but I know it's D. It's a shortcut at first, but then it just kind of bites you in the butt later because you're really not hearing it for what it is, and that would be D major pentatonic, right? Okay. What do we got? Oh, okay. When you see that the type of the 3 major chord progressions and combinations, what makes you think of it as mixolydian from the 5th? Okay. Why do I hear this as D mixolydian as opposed to G major? The harmonic rhythm, the song sounds like it's in D, right? If I'm going like, you know, it's pulling me back to D where the song starts. If I went, that's a G, right? You're hearing it as G, same chords, but the harmonic rhythm that pulls you, the tonal center is the G chord in that case, but the thing we're playing here, the harmonic rhythm of the progression pulls you towards the D. So, I mean, I could call it C Lydian if I wanted to. I wouldn't because that would be weird, but technically it's all the same thing. So I'm going to think of it as D mixolydian because I'm in D. Great way to figure that out is any major scale will have 3 major chords. So it'll always help you figure out what key you're in, what your real parent key is. So you're in the key of G major, but it's also known as D mixolydian. And then what is your focal chord? The focal chord here is D. So that's going to bring me to that. Norwegian Wood, D mixolydian. Freeway Jam by Jeff Beck is D mixolydian. G mixolydian, excuse me. Third Stone from the Sun, the main melody, that's mixolydian. It's kind of like happy bluesy, right? Jam bandy. I always think when I hear something that sounds jam bandy, it's mixolydian. Or Dorian. If it's happy jam band, it's mixolydian. If it's sadder jam band or jazzier jam band, it's usually Dorian. Okay, you can quote me on that. All right. Which arpeggios do you like to play over this? This is quantum guitar. Anything from the key, but a D major arpeggio, right? We're in D and we're spending a lot of time in D, so let's hear D major arpeggio. Right? That's a cool sound. Right? That's D major. And yeah, just do a bunch of sweep arpeggios over it. So D major would be great. You could play the C and the G. There's my F, sorry. Right, you can start to play those 3 arpeggios over it as well, which I will kind of cover in a video coming up. All right, does that answer the question? Is there a simple way to work out the harmony leads in this style? Oh yeah, actually, it's kind of funny that you bring that up. I can't record anything right now. I don't have a looper hooked up. You know, we can talk about another thing. If you want to sound like the Allman Brothers, generally speaking, their harmony, you could do it diatonic in the key of D mixed Lydian, or you can harmonize the pentatonic scale. And that's what they do a lot when you hear like, what's that tune? Is it like Hotlanta? Like, that's all harmonized with the pentatonic scale, and that's pretty cool. It's hard to explain right now because I don't, if I play it together, like everyone, the Allmans might go, you know, that follow the scale together, but I can't, it doesn't sound right harmony-wise when you play it, if you want that sound, you know what I mean? So if I want to go like him, it might go. But it's cool if we do it, if I went, then. Hear that kind of sound? Like, it sounds a bit like the Allman Brothers. But it never sounds exactly right when you play them together. It's the 2 separate guitars that really make that sound harmonious, you know, that give you that 2 guitar sound. All right, Keith, what's up, Keith Williams? Keith, are you live tomorrow? Let me know. I think Keith is going live tomorrow. All right, this is Kevin Schroeder. Would this be modal thinking? Yeah, sure, yeah. But I would say if you start playing your major pentatonic and add in a note or 2, this is what I talk about in detail in my Solo Explorer course, where I talk about taking pentatonic scales, both major and minor, adding notes, and you're getting modal sounds out of them by playing through your pentatonic, which is largely what I do, especially on something like this. Like, since these chords go fairly quickly, if I start playing a lot of arpeggios or nailing a lot of chord tones, it ceases to be the genre a bit. I always want to end on a chord tone or accentuate one here and there, but I think a bit more bluesy and pentatonic on this. And then I can add in another note from the scale. In this case, I talked about the 4th is a perfect one. So Keith is not on. Sorry, okay, I thought you were, man. All right. Hey, man, relax. Okay. Is there a relative major variable in case that would be B flat? No, because if you go to B flat major scale, then you're just starting to change the whole sound. If I'm thinking the questions right, what he asks is like, can I start putting G major or B flat major over these, and which would be G minor pentatonic, and you've got a B flat, which would really sound pretty poor. That's a really hard note to justify in this. So you have to think within the genre of the music. I mean, you can play whatever the hell you want, but is it going to sound, you know, Southern rock? So no, I would really stick on something like this, D mixed Lydian and its variants. You can play D minor pentatonic, D minor blues, D major pentatonic, D major blues, and D mixed Lydian. I think if you really want to stay inside this kind of sound, I know if you want to stay in this kind of sound, that's what you need to stick to. Starting to kind of take it out like that becomes an exercise. And it's cool you're thinking about that for sure, but I think you'd get on there pretty quickly and go, that B flat is a real problem. Josh Smith talked about using the 2-5 of the 4 chord. I don't know who that is. I'm just kidding. Josh is a friend. Yeah, you could do anything. I don't want to get too deep into all that stuff. That does not sound like the Allman Brothers. That does not sound like Skinnerd. That does not sound like Southern Rock. Doesn't sound like, you know, what we're talking about today. I'm going for this particular sound. If you start putting in 2 5s, what you can do, you start to sound really jazzy. And in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that Josh is wrong, in this kind of music, when you start doing that, you get the stink eye. You're playing this, you got to play this. If you don't, people are like, what the hell is he doing? Don't do that. It's all about playing for the genre of the music. You know, I think there's that story where, like, Zakk Wylde had filled in on the Allman Brothers as a big fan, and he was just doing his thing, and they were like, no, this is not what, I think Zack's a great guitar player. And they were like, no, this isn't. Then they called David Grissom, and he filled in, did perfectly. But it just kind of, they were like, nah, he likes our music, but he's just not our guy. So that's what I'm saying, because I think I could just imagine he was doing the whole, you know, ripping stuff, and they were probably like, what is this? You know, this isn't the Allman Brothers. So my point is, it's all about the song and serving the song. The second you start putting in more deeper changes on something like this, it ceases to be this. And if that's what you want, great, but it can lead to a lot of problems if you're a hired guitar player. Trust me. I know, I tried to do stupid stuff like that, and they'd be like, what are you doing? Don't do that. That thing you did? Yeah, don't do that. Okay. Yes, Phil, yes, it really does help out when you purchase my courses. Just a note on that. Yeah, that's how I make my living. If you guys are enjoying this is all kind of, I think, cool, free content. If you want to help me, we've got the tip jar, I really appreciate it. The courses through my website, if you don't buy them through TrueFire's website, you buy them through my website, I get a much higher percentage. And, you know, buy the background tracks. This is how I make my living. So thank you, Phil. All right. Do you have any Southern sample tunes for a doo-wop progression? No, I do not. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading questions here. D-mix leading is a 5th. Okay, Phil was explaining. Yeah, Steve, could you just use a D minor pentatonic? Yeah, totally. I was saying before, you just got to be careful of that third, that F natural. Here's D minor pentatonic. Sounds great, as long as you tweak your third. Your flat third, I should say. So, right? Can't sing that note, but. Right? But I find if you sit on that too long, it loses interest for me. I like the mixture of the two because one will be a nice contrast to the other. But yeah, as long as you bend that flat third a bit, you're good, you know? All right. Scott Ross. Wait, the Scott Ross? How does Dwayne and Derek's slide playing relate to the chords and modes you're talking about? They're doing the same thing, just on slide. Yeah, you know? If it sounds like this, let's keep this in mind. Tuning, slide, all these things, doesn't matter. If it sounds like what I'm playing right now, they're playing the same thing, note-wise or scale-wise. So they're thinking about, it's the D mixed leading chord progression. There's no way around it. You can play D minor pentatonic, D minor blues, D major pentatonic, and D major blues. Mix them up all you want, and play a D mixed Lydian scale. That's it, if you want to remain in this genre. You can play passing tones and get a little more chromatic and be hip and cool and all that. But if you want the core of what can be done, that's it. And when Derek Trucks, who's just freaking amazing, plays this stuff, it's just his take on it. And he's got the way he plays slide, he might have some of those little cool, not kind of little cool, super cool bluesy inflections that he gets with the slide, but it's still the same stuff. Okay. Is it true you're giving away that Les Paul to a lucky winner today? Right. Sure. What are characteristic progressions of Southern rock style? That's one of them, man. Like there's a 1-4-5, the 5-4-1. That's a big one. Sometimes, yeah, almost like the feel can be different, like, or just the flat 7, like this kind of like. Sounds little bit like a Grateful Deadish. Right, that. So let's have this, right? Going between these two G to, or in this case, sympathy for the devil, you know? That same kind of chord progression, same thing. It's going to be E mixolydian. So, you know, stuff like Skinner, I mean, I'm making a generalization, you know. Melissa just has that kind of chord progression, but it's not this, there's no definitive thing. I think it's an overall sound, but solo-wise, what I was getting at, it's just really more about this major sort of pentatonic sound. Okay. Are you thinking about the changes when playing that D mixolydian over this chord progression? It seems to work even when I don't. Well, that's what I was saying, Richard and Sarah. You were right. Sometimes I don't even think about the chord changes on something like this because this major, minor pentatonic stuff just sounds really good as it is. I know I talk about chord tones all the time, but I'm thinking about D major. I know when that D is coming, I'm almost always going to be ending on a D, an F sharp, or an A. So I'm going to think that I'm not going to end on a B or something, or the G, which is in the minor pentatonic. You know, if I go like, I'm not going to do that. Or if in the minor pentatonic, I'm not going to, excuse me, in the major pentatonic, I'm not going to end on the B. You know, when I go back to this beginning. Because, you know, it's not in this scale. So I will think chord tones, as I always do, when I'm focusing in on how to end the lick. Okay. What course that covers this kind of scales and modes? Solo Explorer. This cut is from Solo Explorer, and I do a sort of some Pink Floyd sounding stuff. I do kind of Clapton-y things where I talk about making the chord progressions, excuse me, nailing the chord progressions, popular rock tunes. They're all songs that you would know. And then how you can dig into them using pentatonic scales, both major and minor, but ultimately we're targeting chord tones and getting modal sounds. So when you come across a song, say like Tangerine, like Zeppelin, I have something similar to that in their solo section, where there's a bunch of chord changes. So I address like, okay, here you can do this here, but here you have to hit this note on this chord. And here you can just play pentatonic. So Solo Explorer. And I like all my True Fire courses, but in terms of rock guitar, this is largely what I think about when I'm playing, you know? Okay. And it's not a modal course, just by the way. I don't think in terms of modes anymore. I don't think learning like modal courses, well, Robbie Calvo does a great job at True Fire. I think of it more like altered pentatonic scales, or adding and subtracting notes to hit the chord progression based upon pentatonic, because I'm a rock guy at heart, so everything comes down to that pentatonic scale. Hey, is Grand Funk Railroad? Yeah, you know, like my Southern rock stuff, you know, I went through a period of it, certainly Skinnerd. I used to love Skinnerd growing up, who I think they were great tunes. You know, my brother was in a Southern rock cover band, which is kind of funny growing up. And, you know, had its big heyday for a while. And the ones I still listen to, I really like Skinnerd still. So it's just a great band, great guitar playing. And then the Allman Brothers. And the Allman Brothers don't like to refer themselves as a Southern rock band. As heard a great interview with Derek Trucks on Mark Maron's show where he was talking about that. He's like, no, they never thought of themselves as a Southern rock band. They kind of didn't really like that name, which makes sense. They're more like a blues band. But, you know, 38 Special for a while when I was younger like that. But the ones I come back to is definitely Skinnerd and the Allmans for that kind of sound. Okay. Do I have a favorite Gary Rossington solo? I have to admit, I don't know sometimes in them that well who's playing what. I mean, I know a little, you know, like Ed King, some of his stuff always jumped out at me. but I don't really know. And I should, I liked him as a listener and as a guitar player growing up. I kind of figured out stuff, but I never got that deep into him to figure out who exactly was the guy taking the solos. At that point, when I was really digging into guitar heavier, was the metal stuff. So I could tell you who played what solo on any Judas Priest record. Okay. Well, I wanted to do a Joe Bonamassa style lesson. The thing about that Joe, who I think is great, he's sort of a contemporary, so I wouldn't say I've ever really been influenced by him. And my take on him would be, as what he freely admits, is like the stuff that he kind of borrows from Eric Johnson. And that I could talk more about. I'd have to warm up for a few days on that stuff, the pentatonic things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when people ask me about John Mayer, I'm like, I don't know. He's younger than me. He's a great guitar player, but I don't listen to him that much. I think he's great, but it's just not, it is not in my world. I could talk about a lot of other guys as well. My Molly Hatchet tattoo. It's a tramp stamp on my lower back. I would love to show it to you. The Frank Frazetta painting, just on my lower back. I was listening to Gator music while I got it done. This is Jack, do I have a course dedicated to Southern rock, Dwayne style, etc.? I don't. I guess it's something I could think about making. I'm always looking for ideas for new courses to do with, to put out myself or with other people. So that's a cool idea, a Southern rock thing. I mean, like I said, I do dig it, for sure, especially the Allmans. But the thing about the Allmans, it's just those songs. And Skinner, those are great songs. That's the whole thing. When you talk about these bands, like talk about Pink Floyd and Zeppelin, and it's the songs that make it so great. So, when you put on Midnight Rider, you're like, man, that's just such a great song. That's why people play it in a cover band, because it's such a great tune. This probably mentioned, is this backing track? This backing track is on Solo Explorer. So yes, you would have this, if you have Solo Explorer, you get this backing track. You would like it, Eric Johnson. Okay, Zita, I could put something together talking about Eric Johnson. We must all be 50-ish. Yeah, it's pretty funny. My demographic is 45 and older, which is really funny. The Outlaws, with Steve Gaines, I know a little. Crap. Ed King is Sweet Home Alabama. I should know that. I knew that. All right. I knew that. No, look, check out John Mayer Continuum. No, don't get me wrong. I think he's great. And that record in particular is the one I really liked. I think he's a great guitar player. Since, I'm older than he is, I hear his influences heavily. So I could talk about the people that influenced him because those are the people that influenced me. So I would be a little bit more aligned with that. Please, don't take it wrong. I think John Mayer is really great. And who I think Rick Beato talked about this. So who are the big rock guitar players? I mean, who are the guitar heroes? It's him and Joe Bonamassa, really? Like in any real way? And then Mayer is much bigger than Joe. So who are the guitar idols who were younger? And when I mean younger, I mean not Jeff Beck and Clapton or Steve Vai or someone like that. And Mayer's selling out arenas, where Joe isn't. No, nothing against Joe. I mean, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. But you know what I'm saying? Thank God for John Mayer and guys like that for keeping the guitar alive and wanting people to buy Klon pedals and two rocks and stuff. Okay. How about an 80s? Oh God. Can you do a webcast on Little Feat? I don't know enough about Little Feat. A friend of mine's in the band who played with Greg Allman, Scott Sherrard. He would know way more than that. Those were, like when those things started happening, or when I was full on into the metal and hard rock and fusion too. Big fusion guy at that point, like Haldsworth and of course Dimiola and all that stuff. Tribal Tech, which I still love. Solo Explorer is a great course. Thank you very much, Twanto. I really appreciate that. All right, how about an 80s hair metal chorus, Yngwie style? You hold on. That is in the works. Not so much Yngwie, because I can't play that stuff really, but a bit more of that period of guitar playing. Sure, guys who influenced me, that's putting that together. So keep your eyes out for that one. Other Jesus, join True Fire, been loving your work. Thanks. Any tips for playing faster from going from low high to low E to... I can seemingly play fast going from high to low, but not low to high. You know the answer to this, right? You got to practice it over and over and over and over and over. One of the things, and I got to give credit to Troy Grady, Cracking the Code. If you guys checked him out, I would definitely check out his stuff. He helped me. He doesn't know it. I want to talk to him at some point because I got to some point in my guitar playing where I was like, man, I should be freaking faster at this stuff. Why am I screwing up stuff I know I should be able to do? Like in the past, whenever he came out with the Cracking the Code videos. So I bought one of his videos, Pick Slanting. I bought one of his videos because I paid for it and bought it. And I went, damn, that's what I've been doing wrong. Oh, that's why I'm so inconsistent. So Troy Grady, check out the Pick Slanting stuff. Are you, right. I'm a fan of Blackberry Smoke. Yeah, they're really good. That's a great band. Like, I love rock bands. I love bands that are rock bands, like putting out new music and doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I just love anybody who's still playing rock. Not anybody, but I love rock bands, I'd love to see it. I love to see bands out there doing it, Would you consider doing a lesson on Three Kinds of Kings? Yeah, sure, of course. I have a lesson, if you go back, and I'm going to read, as I said before, I'm going to redo a lot of the lessons I did, a lot of the live feeds as shorter lessons, just on YouTube, so people can not have to watch all the stuff, just the shorter, more concise stuff. And I'm putting together a subscription channel, which I would love you guys to join and all that. And there's a thing on BB's Box, so check that out, and some of the Peter Green stuff I've talked about. Yeah. I talk about some in the past, but I could happy to do a course on those guys. I think Matt Schofield just put one out on his heroes over at True Fire. Matt Schofield, he's all right. He did a video on his heroes, and Albert King, Albert Collins, and Freddie King. No, Albert King, BB King. I think he talked about Albert Collins too. Whatever Matt talks about is great. So I would definitely check him out on his course at True Fire as well. Also, if you decide to do that and you don't have a True Fire subscription, please go to his website and purchase the course because he gets a better cut. And they're cool people. Please discuss pick slanting. Okay, yeah, I can talk about that. I won't talk about it today. We'll talk about another thing when I start talking a little more about chops. And I want to talk about what I've been working on. I've been working on my chops a lot more lately. You couldn't tell from this beginning of this lesson because I just walked in the car. From the car. Rock and roll will never die. I hope not. You think Troy makes it too difficult? It's very interesting, but makes it too complicated. Yeah, right. I agree. I was able to boil it down pretty after a little while. And you said it takes 20 minutes to get to the point. I think it's just he's so analytical about the stuff. Whereas it's almost like that old joke, like, Doc, it hurts when I do this. He's like, yeah, then don't do that. That's kind of what it turned out to be for me when I was playing with the picking. It's like, oh, if I angle my pick, oh. And then that was it. You know what I mean? So I think it's just his mind. He's super analytical about this stuff. Right. You're talking about going over his stuff. This is Donald McCory. Yeah, going over his stuff slowly. Not so much the exercise, but just the technique. Yeah, you take what you want from it, right? What you get from it. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. Hey, thanks to Phil, everyone, Phil Mingen, for doing everything, as always, for promoting everything. Sitting there monitoring and taking out silly comments that people may put in. Oh, okay, this is a great question. Dave Mackey. Hey, what's going on, Dave? How are you doing, man? When playing with a keyboard player, say in a southern rock band, do you approach rhythm playing differently? Yeah. I tell him to shut up and listen to me. I'm the guitar player. No. Yeah. You definitely want to I definitely find playing with a keyboard player can be very different because sometimes you have to have conversations with them, which you should with any musician. I was playing with a keyboard player a while ago, and a few things I tell keyboard players who ever play in my band, if you have my first record, it's got a bunch of keys on it, actually keys on a lot of tunes, organ or B3. My first record that Phil just posted, I'm Tired, and that's the one, you can get it through my website. And that was the first song when I opened up, was one of my tunes. I talked to the keyboard player and I said, no synths, I only want B3 or Rhodes or Wurlitzer. You know, just timeless stuff to me, like, you know, that's just what I want, that just the standard old school sounds. And I think a lot of my music can be very simple on purpose. So if I'm playing a tune, like my tune, there's a tune I ever called Highlands where, ooh, well, it's very simple, you know. So it's a lot of triads and things like that. And then I was doing a gig with a keyboard player, and he started putting like these extensions on it, like making it a major, you know, 9s and 13s on the chord, and I was like, no. And he's a beautiful player, and I respect his musicianship, but a lot of times in those situations I have to say to him, that's not what I'm hearing. It's my gig, and that's not what I want on my song. If it's his gig and that's what he wants to play, well, then I just work around it. But yeah, a lot of times I will listen to the keyboard player and make sure that I try to stay out of his way. It comes down to people being good musicians or bad musicians, right? Or not bad, just people won't listen. People listen. Sometimes you get a keyboard player who's got a very heavy hand, and you got a left hand, you got a bass player, and you're like, oh God. And then sometimes you're like, what am I supposed to do? So you just find things. Donald McCourt, I use partial chords and triads, and that's exactly what I was just about to say. So what I'll try to do is, if that guy's busy, got a busy left hand or right hand, I'll just play a small triad, single notes, and sometimes I just won't play at all depending on the gig, right? Okay. I love playing with keyboard players though. I really do, especially organ players. I think that's so much fun, especially a good organ player. I got, when I was in Italy, I played with Matt Schofield's band, and that, Johnny Henderson, it's great. I had such a ton of fun playing with him. He was really a ton of fun. I know why Matt plays with him. There's a keyboard player he plays with in America too, whose name just popped out of my head. I don't know him that well. I played with him a few times when I've sat in with Matt. Anyway, he's great. All right. Let's see what we have here. Keith, I played with a quintet for years with a piano player and would always set up near him so he could really, so we could really connect. Of course. That's also important things, like looking at the musicians and just, you know, sometimes I don't have a problem if I'm playing with someone and go, you know, if it's my band, I'll go, or like, if it's their solo, hey, you know, and it's an improv band, do whatever you want. But if we're playing my tunes and he's playing something I don't really like, I'll flat out say, nah, it's not really what I'm looking for. So, Glenn Goodbreck, what's up, man? You mentioned a subscription channel. I'm going to do my own on a different platform. I just got to put it together. There's lots of things that are to do, and it'll come. It's just a lot of stuff to do, especially I'm doing it all by myself. And it is, you know, it's a lot of work. And I'm not complaining, it's great work, but it's a lot of sitting here, right here, all day talking to nothing. And yeah. Steve Moore, thank you so much for the top chat there. Thank you, I appreciate it. I love doing these lessons too. Okay, what about gear and Southern rock scene? Okay, that's a great question. It's from Aaron. When I'm playing Southern rock, man, it's totally simple. Right now, you know, Strat or Les Paul. This is just a Les Paul, obviously. Going straight into the 2-rock, but I mean, it could go into anything. This is my Marshall. And you just don't use a lot of overdrive. So a lot of times if you do like a Southern rock gig, you look at Dicky's pedal board and you realize there's no pedal board. There's none. He's just plugging right into the amp and using the guitar's volume knobs, and it's playing straight like that. You know what I mean? He's not Derek Trucks. I don't really know of any pedals that he's using. Dwayne didn't use any pedals. Warren Haynes with the Allmans, I can never think of anything that he actually used a pedal on that. I could be wrong, but nothing comes to mind. He might have, if anything, it might have been like a Leslie, you know, like a little effect, but you're not hearing a lot of stuff. So yeah, I would just, as simple as it goes, just if you can, which nobody can right now, just turn up your amp and a little bit of reverb maybe on the amp, and Strat or Les Paul, and you're good to go. Yeah, you had your last was Essie Nesbitt. Yeah, I think my last live gig was a year ago. Yeah, it was like a year ago. It's brutal. It's brutal. Yeah, like I had a few dates lined up with Robin, and we're starting to work on a new record. We're going to put together a new record and record. So, wah, me and everybody else, you know. I'm just fortunate that I'm making a living with the guitar. A lot of my friends got slammed really hard, like my friends who worked on Broadway. There's no Broadway right now, so they have no work. So, Dicky went straight in and loud. Yeah, totally loud. Wow, yeah. I saw the Allmans I saw them a few times. I saw them a lot of times, actually. And he was loud. It was definitely an earplug gig. I saw them with him a few times, which is cool. All right. So hopefully this helped you guys out. I could sit here and just blab about stuff all week, but this is a kind of a fun thing. I don't have it plugged in. I tried to plug it in, and I didn't get in time to do it because I was late. But I picked up, is this gonna, no, all right, hold on. Hold on, guys, I just gotta unplug it. I got an Axe-Fx, so we can talk about this coming up. It's pretty darn cool, I gotta say. So, I dialed in some sounds that I really, really love. So I'm gonna do a little talking about this thing. It's a great tool like anything else, all of its tools. It was really kind of funny. A lot of people are like, oh my, I put on Instagram, people are like, oh, you got an Axe-Fx? Like, I didn't think you'd use that. I'm like, I use plugins all the time. It's just a tool, and if I want to record and do live streams and do videos and courses, I don't want to run my old Marshall on 10, because that's what you need to do for it to break up, into an aux like for, a week or two at a time, because that's really hard on that 40-year-old amp. That I would never run at 10 anyway, because that amp is so loud. 100-watt Marshall on 10 is otherworldly loud, Okay. I was reading here. Yeah, just if you're interested in lessons, just shoot me an email. I've been a little bad getting back to people, and I really super apologize about that. I'll just be honest with you all. I got a little burned out on everything. I think, certainly, I think we're all experiencing a bit of this sort of like COVID fatigue, where, every day seems to be like the next or the last, or what day is it? I don't know. And I'm grateful to be making a living playing guitar, thanks to people like yourselves. So sometimes it's just been kind of I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Some days you're like, oh my God, like it's just a lot. So I think I fell a little bit into that, is it a little bit of a depression about it? Hey, let's think about this for a second. There's that great guitar player, you guys, younger guy who Mateus Atsato, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Big on Instagram. He's got a Sir guitar in his name and a Vemram pedal. He's just brilliant guitar player. Over 1 million followers on Instagram, and he quit. He just deleted his account, and he said, I just can't do it anymore. Like, he sounded like he hadn't played guitar in weeks, and it was the stress of this, and that music shouldn't be I'm paraphrasing, 30 like music shouldn't be 30 or 60-second long sound bites, and how many takes does it take to put out that clip? All right, so let me just let's talk about this for a minute, because I think it's kind of important. I think it's kind of fun. And, you know, I know if Jason Laughlin's still on, he and I talk about this stuff. And a lot of my other friends whose name we're not reveal, who you know, other YouTubers, we all feel kind of the same way in many ways. Like, things that's happened with Instagram is what we don't often see is when you see somebody rip this perfect thing, and this is like Mateus had said, this 30-second or 60-second piece of music, which he's just spectacular. And, you know, I watch it and go, oh my God, how did he just do that? Like in 30 seconds. And your first assumption is he just picked up a guitar and just started playing it, and that's what came out, and he posted it. No, like he might have done 100 takes of that over a week or something. I don't know but other guys have talked about this. So like, they practice the piece, they practice it, and then they take as many takes as they can to get it right. And then all you see this thing that somebody puts this thing out, and you're like, and then you start feeling bad about yourself, or the pressure, and you start going, God, all these like young guys are doing all this amazing stuff. And I don't feel old, but you know what I'm talking about. You got like a 20-something-year-old, and I'm like, I got bills to pay, and I can't sit there and do this all the time. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, but to see it affect him so adversely, where he just deleted everything, said, I can't do it anymore. My mental health is going off the rails with this stuff. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah. So right, you're complaining about your average against their best 30 seconds. Right, Keith, exactly. That's a great way to put it up, right? Right. You're just thinking like, oh my God, you know, they spent their whole everything putting this together. And so one thing I like to try to do with you guys is be honest. Like, I just came on today. I knew I was not going to be warmed up, but whatever. The hell with it. That's what I'm playing right now. And that's life, right? So I don't know where I'm going on this, but there's an editorial in the comment on this, on the latest Premier guitar. Okay, cool, yeah. Stunt videos. Oh wait, okay, hold on. We made stunt videos BMX for a long time. It made me look really good, but no one saw how many hours and months of falling down just for one stunt. Exactly. The end thing, of course, now your knees hurt. But that's just one thing to see that's really important about this kind of stuff. All right, here's Jason chiming in. Thanks, Jason. Jason's one of my really very close friends, and just one of the people who's helped me through this pandemic period of like tackling the internet and keeping everything about music and kind of putting things into perspective. And we talk all the time. And it's kind of cool, you know, when we talk to my other friends about this, whose names I'm not going to, you know, but you know them. And we all feel the same way. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, like just trying to get this perfect take, and it's not the way I grew up playing music, and I love improvising. And the funny thing is, I think I was talking to Rick Biano about this, and he was saying, yeah, those guys, like, they don't improvise that. You know, when he does his videos on Instagram, he just improvises and just posts it. And that's my take on it too. I'll do a few takes, and I'll just take, you know, 3 or 4 takes. I'm like, that one's the best one. It's out. And I'll put it out on Instagram. But that's why I'm not super active on Instagram, because sometimes I'm like, is this any good? And you have this weird thing you're looking at. But I'm just starting to be a little looser about it and just say, okay, I'm just going to keep on just playing it, and you guys are kind of here, hopefully enjoying listening to this. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's just the reality of what that whole world is about. So, I'm sorry, Jason, you had chimed in. Yeah, playing and constantly thinking about how your playing is going to relate to Instagram and YouTube could be totally poisonous. That's it perfectly. I'll have this conversation with all of them. And I'm playing guitar, and I'm working on something, and I'm practicing. And I'm thinking, will that make a good YouTube video, or will that be good on Instagram? And in many ways, as much as I love doing this, and I love doing this because we're talking about music, and I'm teaching, and we're interacting, I'm not really so excited about putting up a video of me shredding, because it's just, I find it to be kind of unsatisfying. So sometimes I start working on something, I go, oh, that should be a video. And then I get off track. And years ago, prior to social media, I had not thought about it. I just played the freaking guitar and worked on that. I don't want to sound like I'm pleased. I don't want to sound sour grapes. It's just an interesting thing. And with that Mateus guy quitting for this very reason, it was very shocking to me and very telling that a lot of musicians are feeling this way. I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, sorry. And I don't want to sound like, meh. Look, I am very grateful to be making a living playing the guitar. Super grateful. After 30-something years of working at it. So, all right. Jam tracks aren't easy to build either. No, they aren't. Jam tracks are a pain in the butt. They're easier than they used to be because you could use loops. A lot of the TrueFire stuff ends up being a loop because, it's going to go for 5 minutes, and anyway, okay. Excuse me. Apparently you like the Shanks. Have you tried the Bell by the Wampler? Nope, I haven't. I like the Shanks a lot. I love the Gladio. I've been using that all the time. Gladio. I kind of have it for a boost in front of the, here's the 2 rock. An unfair comparison. One's a tube amp, one of the one's a pedal, but the two together. I just have the Gladio set to kind of boost it a bit more. I could reset it, but I really like the Shanks. I don't have that hooked up right now. I just have the Gladio on the floor and the KTR, but for the main solo stuff, I was just using the 2 rock. There you go. This is, I think, a lot of the value of spontaneity and the humanity of not being perfect all the time. Yeah, totally. Like, my favorite records have warts all over them. I mean, you even listen to the Zeppelin records, which are my favorite records. You even hear like a squeaky bass drum pedal on Since I've Been Loving You. You hear Page flub notes and it's just a live, breathing thing. And that's one of my, I'm going to just go up. It's one of the things, I love metal. I love older metal. The newer metal, one of the things I don't like about it much is it doesn't, a lot of it, I do like some of it, doesn't swing as much as the old stuff. And I realized when I talked to some of my friends who are into that music and they program, like the drums are very often programmed. Everything is very gridded out to make it sound perfect and precise. And then I was like, oh, that's what's missing to me. Whereas Tool, who I love, has that nice mix of the two. Like they get the super odd time rhythm, which reminds you of Crimson and all that. But it's metal and it's heavy, but it swings and it's loose and it's groovy. So there's, to me, like that's kind of the perfect kind of thing. I know Phil's letting me know I'm on for an hour and 17 minutes. Okay, well, I'm having fun. All right, thank you. Sir Baron Von Count. I love that name. Yes, 90% of the magic is in the first take. Absolutely right, man. I found all the solos in the studio, if I go in prepared, are usually like, first, second take, and then after that, you start getting a law of diminishing returns on it. And yeah, so you don't want that. Right. S.E. Nesbitt, the community at the Speakeasy, much more rewarding than social media stuff. Speakeasy is Jason Laughlin's subscription channel over at YouTube, so go check that out. I can't speak highly enough about Jason as a person, but also as a teacher and a guitar player. I love talking music with him, because there's a lot of my friends, like Angus as well. Angus, we can get these deep conversations about music, because we're in it for music. We love music. And the guitar happens to be the instrument we play. All right. So, hey, Lawrence Maska, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think there was another top chat that I missed. Mark Rosewicki. Now I'm butchering your name, as everybody does mine. Thank you so much. Paul Schwartz, thank you. You just bought Solo Explorer well via my site. Thank you, Paul Schwartz. I really appreciate it too. Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, I really love that you guys go and do that for me. Stephen Moore, thank you as well for the top chat. I'm not used to the top chat, so I know I'm supposed to answer those first, and I apologize for not jumping on those. All right, so yeah, all my courses on sale at TrueFire. No, not TrueFire. At JeffMcErlain.com through TrueFire. And if you buy them on my site, you will be directed towards TrueFire, and you already have the code. It's enter the code live 20 and you get 20% off. I've got my blues background tracks, which I think are really great, all done with a live band. That's on Bandcamp through my website as well. And of course, my 2 records, I'm Tired and Now featuring Robin Ford on my website. And stay tuned for very soon, the Brett Papa course that I did is coming out, and it's on digging into Eric Clapton, David Gilmour, Jimmy Page, and Jeff Beck. So I would not surface, pretty deep. Got a lot of examples and talk about like key elements to get you into those 4 guys playing, some of my favorite guitar players. And I'm starting to put together the hard rock course, which I'm looking forward to as well. And we'll talk about the Axe Effects next time once I figured I didn't have it routed right, and I was going to use it today. Anyway, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Thanks to Phil Mingen. I appreciate you being here, everyone. Thanks for Phil for running everything. I'll see you guys next week. Please hit the like button. Please share. See you guys. Bye.